Hello, guys. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Can you people hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Now let us continue from where we were. So we were talking about the demand function, and we saw that a demand function, it is in this format. P equals to A minus BQ. That was our normal demand function. Now, from our previous class, we did some items. We also did this question for which sitting? It was for I have it here. Now we continue with the questions. Actually, we continue with the questions. So we did one in AP 2023. So we did one in AP 2023. Now we continue with the same. Let us open our past paper. But I wanted to tell you that when we talk about demand function, a demand is price, P, which is price, and then A and B are constants, and Q is the quantity. So this one forms our demand function. It is a general format of a demand. So in an exam, if they tell you that the demand function is linear in nature, so this one applies when the demand is linear in nature. This one applies when the demand is linear in nature. When the demand is not a linear function, then our normal demand function not be the same. We shall use the revenue. Anyway, let us open our past paper. Let us open our past paper. We continue with the questions. Let us open September 2015. Let us open September 2015. Question number 1C. September 2015. Question number 1C. Now, let me now read the question so that we can see what was the requirement. So we'll be introducing one item at a time. One item at a time, because we are yet to do some other items. So this past paper is complicated. It is not arranged in a good manner. But let me find it. September. Now here it is. So September 2015. Let me see if I can share my screen first, so that let me share the screen. So can you see my screen now? The question number 1C. Can you see it? Is it visible on your end? You can try and zoom. Now let me read it because so September 2015, it was a pilot paper. It was a pilot paper. It was a pilot paper. Let me read it. So a firm has a linear demand function for its product. So a firm has a linear demand function for its product. When the price of the product is to 20, when P is to 20, when P is to 20, the quantity demanded is 40. Q becomes 20 units. And then when price increases to 40, when price increases, what happened to units? The quantity demand becomes 30. Q becomes 30. Q becomes 30. Now, that is what I'm interested with in that question for now. So you are supposed to formulate price as a function of, we are supposed to formulate price as a function of Q, which we have said is our demand. So we need to find the demand. Demand, which we have said it is P is equals to A minus B Q. So demand, which means price as a function of quantity. Now, let us start with the first one. When the price is to 20, we don't know A and we don't know B. But we know Q is 20. Now this one will be 20B. Then we call it equation 1. When price is to 40, we don't know A, and we also don't know B. We don't know B, but we know Q is 30. Now solve for A and B. Solve for A and B. Now we can use different let me move out of let me stop sharing so that we can do now the question. I hope you have the items there. Now I was saying, let me do away with this one. I was doing by myself. Let me remove it. Now, when P is to 220, our Q is 40. And when P is to 40, our Q is 30. Now we were supposed to come up with a demand function, which we know a demand function. So P as a function of Q. So we know P is equals to A minus B Q. That is our normal equation. Now we can use this one. So when price is to 20, we don't know A. And also we don't know B, but we know Q is 40. So 40B. We call it equation 1. Then when price is to 40, we don't know A, but we know 30 is Q, but we don't know B. That one becomes equation 2. Now, solve for A and B. We can use elimination method for now. So for now, we can use elimination method. Okay, let us use elimination method. Now, in the 2 equation here, eliminate B. Let us eliminate B. Eliminate B in equation 1 and 2. Eliminate B in equation 1 and 2. Let us eliminate B. Now, 220 minus 240. 220 minus 240, where is my calculator? So 220 minus 240, that one becomes around minus 20. That one is around minus 20. Minus 20. A minus A is 0. Then you have minus 40 minus 30. that becomes minus 10b. Now we can find b. b is equal to minus 20 over minus 10, which is equals to 2.
2.
So 2 becomes b. 2 becomes our b. Now, using equation 1, solve for a. Solve for a. Using equation 1, solve for a. Using equation 1, solve for a. So using equation 1, solve for a. So we try to solve for a. Let us try and solve for a. Now, when you try to solve for a, so equation 1, it is 220 is equals to a minus 40b. But we know our b is 2. Now, 220 is equals to a minus 40 to 2. To 2. Now find a. A will be equal to 220. Then let us bring this item on the other side. So it will be plus 80. Now our a will be equal to, so 220 plus 80, that is around 300. That is around 300. Any question up to that point? Any question up to that point? You can screenshot so that in case you haven't write anything, you can follow up. So any question up to that point? Any question? Now you are seeing no question. Now, if no question, now we can formulate our demand function here. Let us formulate the demand function here. Remember, our demand function should have this format. Where was the format? Here. It must have this format. Our demand function should have this format. So our demand function should have that format. Remember, it is a negative figure here. Our demand function has a negative function here because we know when we draw our demand function, if we decide to draw our demand function, if we have price and quantity, our demand function is negative as an inverse relation. So P is indirectly related to Q, and therefore our demand function must have a negative item. So because P already it is as an inverse relation, and therefore we are saying that P is equal to A minus because P and Q they are inverse. Now we don't know P because that one is our demand, but we have A as 300, and then our B is 2. But remember, it must be negative because already we know that demand is a negative, has an inverse relation. Then this one is Q. That one is our demand function, which is the function of price, which is price. I mean, so demand, in this case, demand equals to price. So demand equals to price. So in that case, demand equals to price. Now, from this question of ours, once we have the demand, we can get the total revenue. Once we have the demand, we can get the total revenue. Now, for us to get the total revenue, So for us to get the total revenue, we shall conclude and say that total revenue equals P, which is our demand, multiplied by quantity. So P, which is our demand, multiplied by quantity. Now, let us come up with that demand function here. I don't know if it is visible in this end. You shall tell me. Now, if you want to get our total revenue, TR means total revenue. So remember, we have said that, let me put it somewhere as a notation. Now, TR is total revenue. And we know it is a function of P times Q, where P is price and Q is quantity, and Q is quantity. Okay. So can you see the screen? Okay, now let us formulate our total revenue. Let me do this one so that you can have a space here. So total revenue equals to P times Q. And our P is here. Our P is 300 minus 2Q, then multiply with the Q. So meaning our revenue will be equal to 300Q minus 2Q squared. That is our total revenue. So in that question, that is all we need at the moment. So that is all we need at the moment. How to formulate the demand function or the price function. So we have said demand equals to price in this case now. So that is all we need to know for revenue. So before we derive the revenue function, if the revenue function is linear, then we need to know the demand. And our demand is P. So once we find P, we can multiply P times Q so that we can get the total revenue. Okay, that one is fine. Let us look for another question which we can derive demand. So let us look for another question which we can derive the demand. For now, that is all up to that point because we haven't done other items so that we can do the question. So, but we shall do everything with the time. So let us look for another question that now, before even I continue, is this item visible? Maybe I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, it's visible.
It is visible. What about the board?
Also visible.
Okay, thank you. So if it is visible, so that is one of kind of a question that you might find in an exam, where you have been given some points. You have P and Q. Those points are coordinates. We can call them coordinates. So you have the coordinates of P and Q for 2 points. Then someone asks you to derive the price or the demand function. Then after deriving the demand function, then you can get your total revenue. So that is one of way which we can derive the revenue function if the revenue function is linear. If the revenue function is linear. Let us go to another question. So I hope you are writing down those questions so that we can also follow up on your own time. Now, because I can see some new guys, there is this question that we did in April 2023. Let me do it for the sake of those who are not there. So let me do it for the sake of those who are not there. So April 2023, question number 1B. Let me share my screen. So I don't know if it will be visible, but I hope you have the past paper. I share it in the group. So you can also open on your side if you have another extra device you can use. Now, question number 1B. The sales manager of XYZ. So can you see that one? The sales manager of XYZ. You can see it. So someone to volunteer to read the question, or I continue. Now, so that at least someone we can at least say that some people are active. Anyway, because of time, let us just jump to the question. The sales manager of XYZ Ltd estimate that the revenue function of the company is linear. Now, this one, it's the same like the other question, because already they have said the revenue function is linear. He has observed that the selling price is 220 when the company sells 6,000 units. Now, when the company sells 200, when the company charges 200 as the price, then the company will sell 6,000. And when the company increase the selling price to 700, then the company sales will decrease to 1,000. Now, the cost of accountant of the company estimates that the cost function is quadratic in nature. And the following data has been provided. So we have the number of units and we have the total cost. So require number 1, revenue function. Number 2, the total cost function. So we shall do part A and part B. So make sure you save these workings that we shall do, because we shall need that working for part 3 when we shall doing item to do with profit maximization and so on. Now, let me jump to our board so that we can do that question. Now, I hope you can see the board. I hope you can see the board.
Because I'm writing a different question.
Now, can you see the board? Okay, I'm assuming you can see the board now. Now, let us read the question now as I write. Now, the sales